All right, so finally getting around to talking a little bit about the CFL's rule changes. Um, I kind of went through these stages of grief when I got the email. So I'm actually subscribed to the CFL's monthly newsletter, or whatever it is. So I got the email. I came in the evening before bed, checked my email, saw it, and quickly perused it, and I said, "Oh my God, I can't believe it." So I went to bed. Next day, I got up, I read it. And I made a video. I talked to John recently in private, and I had made a video kind of ranting about it. I said, okay, I need to, you know, get off the coffee, tone it down. So I tried later to make a second video, and again, I was pretty hopped up energy wise, and it just came off, negative. And when I first came to YouTube back in 2008, I did like many people. I found a place that I could find people who enjoyed the hobbies I enjoyed, but also a place for me to complain, which has turned out with social media and YouTube, Instagram. Almost all of it is about people bitching, complaining. Let's face it, it's a megaphone for the average individual nobody to complain about stuff, to bitch about stuff. And so I've tried over the last 10 years on my YouTube experiences not to be the guy who whinges about shit and rants about shit and makes political videos or griping videos. But I've had a few where I'll let slip my opinion that may be a little negative. But I'm generally now, certainly on both my sports channel and on Dell's channel, we try to just celebrate the things we love, right? Creation, writing games, playing games, sharing, reviewing games. And on my sports channel, man, this is always about doing the thing I love to do, which is just celebrate the joy I have playing tabletop games, especially tabletop sports games solo by myself. Not something I generally do with other people. So I don't spend a lot of time bitching and complaining. I'm an enthusiastic, positive guy. I jokingly am known, I think, even in the role playing community, as the guy he's never really found a game he doesn't like. I have a lot of favorites. You'll hear me say all the time, "Oh, this has got to be one of my favorite games. This is one of my," because it's true, especially when I'm playing it and I'm involved in it and I'm getting so much out of it. I tend to go, "Yep, this is." I could see myself never being dissatisfied with this experience, so I call it my favorite because I'm not going to wake up one morning and be in my 118th game of of drive time football and go, I'll never do this again, right? It's just not going to happen. So I know that I can't see my future in tabletop sports games without drive time football or whatever, right? So that's just an example. But I gave myself a few days to think about it because I personally think the Canadian version of football is fantastically unique. It is fantastically different. It is older than the American game. It has tradition, tactics, and strategy that goes way back. And I hate to see any league start tweaking its rules. The NFL, unfortunately, one of the things that has driven me, one of the things I try not to complain about, I just stopped watching, is the NFL would change its rules all the time. It's like yearly they change something. And it gets to be this bad habit. It's a slippery slope, right? Once you start tweaking it, wow, we can tweak it, tweak it, tweak it, tweak it. And it just drives me nuts. And I prefer things, it's competition. I prefer there is an idea of the good or bad, right? What's the good and bad? We can all see the pros and cons of the goalpost being on the goal line. Those pros and cons have been true since football put up goalposts on the goal line, right? It was true in Canadian football its entire history. It was true in the pros until 1974 when they moved the goalpost back for the same reasons. Why did it take Canada another, what, in my lifetime, another 50 years to decide to move the goalpost back? Well, there's big reasons for that, right? It's not just about safety. It's about the rouge. So the minute we move the goalpost back, what do you have to do, right? One decision. We're going to move the goalposts off the goal line. That one decision causes three changes. One, we're moving the goalpost back. Two, we got to shorten the field now. We got to shorten those 20-yard end zones, which is part of the game of CFL, right? These big end zones, you got to cover it, man. So, because we're going to move those goalposts off for whatever reason is good, we'll say safety is the most important one. All right. Although guys run into goalposts in the NFL all the time in the back of the end zone, you're going to run into the goalposts if you're out trying to catch a post pass. You're going to hit that goalpost, whether it's in the middle of, whether it's at the goal line or it's in the back of the end zone. But I digress. Uh, how come it was not unsafe for 111 years or 112 years? It's suddenly, we're going to move it. But that one decision then shrinks the end zone. So now we get, so that one changes another thing, which then inevitably changes a third thing. The ruse. You can no longer win a game on a missed field goal. Wow. So when does the rouge count? When doesn't it count? Right. And so now we're talking about, okay, in the final moments, you can't win a game on a missed field goal. So we just ignore how the rouge works for the first 59 minutes and 42 seconds of a CFL game, but we're gonna so those 1 point rouges count, but the last one wouldn't. Is that how it's gonna work? It seems crazy to me to tweak it. So again, I don't want to make videos that in which I bitch. I mean, that's so easy to do. It's so easy to make angry videos. It's so easy to make videos sharing your opinion at its highest level and ranting and bitching about something, whether it's politics, religion, uh, Chevy, whatever your complaints are. Those folks get a lot of views, they get a lot of subscribers, and they tend to be either loved by their followers or despised by those who don't agree with them. And I'm not interested in that. I'm not that kind of guy. I really am not. I accept people for who they are, what they believe. As long as you aren't victimizing people, as long as you aren't a homicidal psychopath, as long as you aren't violating other people's, rights, I don't care what you think about politics. I don't care where you stand on social issues. I don't care. You have every good for you. I mean, I don't want everybody just like me. It can be pretty damn boring. And meanwhile, I don't expect people to side with me. And I happen to be an American. And antagonism is the American culture. It has always been the American culture. You cannot create a country this big with 380 million people from all over the world and all walks of life and say to them, we have a constitution that grants you the right to follow Islam or to follow Mormonism or to follow Catholicism and expect and grant that freedom and not expect there to be freedom is dangerous. Your right to drive a car requires laws to protect everyone else from your right to drive a car. You're free to drive a car. You're free to drive a car without a license. You're free to drive a car without insurance. You know what? You get caught, you're going to pay fines, you're going to go to jail, you're going to go to court, right? But you're free to. Meanwhile, because we're going to have so many people driving cars, we got to have some laws that protect us from other people and hopefully from ourselves. And so we are the freest society in the world, but we have more laws than any society in the world. Because how do you govern freedom? Well, you're going to have to put some rules around freedom. So we have always been an antagonistic culture. Rarely do Americans all come together on the same side, and that's a good thing because democracy should be a fight. You should have to fight for what you believe in. And I don't mean fight physically. I don't mean killing other people. I just mean you should have to argue it. You should have to make a debate out of it. You should have to then call for a vote. And if you win that vote by one, it counts. Too bad. It's close, but you won by one, right? And we have to go with that direction until the ebb changes, right? Until the flow changes. This is democracy. Now we're a republic. So we elect representatives that are supposed to do what we as a constituency want done. So we're not a true democracy, and that's one of my other arguments, about our American culture. We are not a democracy. We are democratic, but we are a constitutional republic, and there is a difference in how that functions. But we are democratic in that we are willing to not completely agree. We find a pathway that works for for the majority. And if that majority happens to be 51 to 49, then that unfortunately is the facts. What's crazy is people seem to think it would be better if we all just got along. Well, if we all get along, how quickly it can become totalitarianism, how quickly it can become an authoritarian state, how quickly it can become Nazi Germany, right? And I'm not just referring to our political structure. I mean when things align one way too often, then you begin to lean that way, and then there is no going back, right? And so I think when I say Jim Brown was the greatest running back of all time, I would expect somebody out there to say, "Oh, dude, you're wrong." I wouldn't expect you to agree, right? I would expect people to say, "Oh, dude, no way, no way." And here's my arguments as to who's better. And I would say, "Interesting. Those are great arguments." Right? And I may or may not argue your arguments, or I may or may not say, "Hey, man, you're entitled to believe that." There's no reason to think Marshall Faulk wasn't the greatest back, or Adrian Peterson, or whoever you think is the greatest quarterback. I've said it before. I think the greatest quarterback to ever play still to this day is John Elway. I think number two, Johnny Unitas. I can make my arguments as to why, but I don't have to. That's just who I think was the greatest quarterbacks of all time. I don't really think I need to make an argument. Most people can look for themselves and decide for themselves what are the most important things about being a great quarterback, and they'll decide, oh, it's yardage, and they'll pick Warren Moon or Drew Brees or whoever else threw for 80,000 yards. Well, I don't. Yardage to me is the least important thing I grade in a quarterback. So, but that's why those arguments don't work, because we'd have to first agree whether we're going to talk about passing yardage as part of the variables, because then instantly my quarterbacks are out of the debate. But I don't think passing yardage is how we should grade quarterbacks, right? I don't think it's just Super Bowl championships, but I think Super Bowl championships is a huge weight on that chart, right? I think winning is a huge weight on that chart. And I think how they won and the era they won and the way they finished games or whatever, those things are harder to quantify for me to make an argument about why Elway to me is the greatest quarterback of all time. And Unitas would be right. I mean, I've actually changed my mind. There have been times I've said, Elway, it's just it's just, and then I'll remember, oh yeah, right, Unitas. I think Unitas invented the modern passing game. And he did it in an era where when the rules did not favor you being a passing, being successful passing the ball. So how can I argue that? How can I quantify those things? You can't. So, would I be willing to die for those ideas? Oh, heck no, because opinions change, right? So, I wouldn't want to see anyone die for their opinions. I wouldn't want to die for my opinions. You want to know why? Because opinions are subject to change, right? That's what argument is. I might argue till just argue like hell that pepperoni pizza is the end and the beginning and the end of pizza. But then 15 years later, I find myself discovering a mushroom and red bell pepper pizza at some local pizza joint, and it's it. It's heaven on earth, and I those opinions have completely changed. Who I was at 20 and who I am at 30 and who I was at 35 and 42, and things change. Some things don't, right? Some hard and fast rules for me, and the kind of person I am and what I believe in, some hard and fast things don't change. But I'm okay with others having their hard and fast ideals that don't have to be like mine, right? Don't have to be like mine. I have one vote. I'm one person. I have one vote, and that's all I do. I don't need to make other people feel shamed about how they vote. I don't need to make other people feel bad that they don't vote. I don't feel like I need to go out and be an activist to get people like me to vote more, right? Or to stop people that aren't like me to vote. No, I literally live by the creed that I am one man, one voice, one vote. I spend my money and my time on the things that are important to me. That is how I live with myself. If I don't like a certain type of music, I don't spend my money on it. I don't spend my time listening to it. I just make a choice because I'm free and I'm in control. I have total control of whether I'm on Facebook or not. I have total control of whether I watch the news. I have total control of whether I purchase a, a misogynistic um, rap band, right? I can choose not to invest my money in a misogynistic music, right? I can choose just where I put my time, my money, my energy. And by the way, I don't want to take that misogynistic rap band away from those people who love that band. They can have it. Let them spend their money on it. Let them support it. It's their baby. I don't want to control what those people do with their time, money, and energy unless they are truly victimizing other people. And then we have a problem. And that's about law and order, right? And generally, I think America functions in that way. When it comes to this, why I started this video, the CFL, I wouldn't change what I think is a remarkable football sport. I think its tradition, its culture, I think what it is with its warts is fantastic. And the closer it gets to looking like American football, I think it's actually going to hurt it, right? Where it shines is it for 112 years said, this is us, this is what we do, this is how we do it, take it or leave it, and we love it. Warts and all. Goalposts on the goal line, so be it. 20-yard end zone, so be it. Wide field, so be it. 110 yards long, so be it. Giving a point away for missing a field goal, yeah, well, that's right. We do it. And you can take the ball at the 40, right? Because we kicked the field goal, you get to take the ball at the 40 instead of returning a kick. There are strategies here, right? And I wish they wouldn't change it, right? I really wish they wouldn't. I wish American football had not changed many, many times, right? For me, between 74 and 94, that 20-year window for me was exactly the rules that I love in pro football, right? There might have been a few changes in that 20 years, or they may have moved the kickoff back 3 or 5 yards or something. I can't recall. There may have been a few changes, but 95 is when the 2-point conversion came in pro football. I didn't want it. It's when we expanded to 30 teams. I didn't want it, right? And then from that point on, it's been a lot of tweaks and subtle changes as we moved on. I didn't like video review. I hate instant replay. I hate video review. I want human beings responsible who are right there in it at full speed, calling the game best they can, using their judgment. It's easy for us to sit back and watch television slow mo and say, oh my God, that's a bad call. I don't like it. And ironically, despite it, doesn't always get it right anyway, right? So, and because they choose not to replay the things that are the most egregious, like pass interference. Pass interference to me is the most egregious mistakes made by referees and umpires. And the sad thing is about that particular penalty is it's huge. It's a ginormous penalty. And that's one thing that should be scrutinized, like turnovers should be scrutinized, like touchdowns should be scrutinized. The biggest penalty in American football, they don't scrutinize with instant replay. So, of all things you would scrutinize, why don't you scrutinize a play that literally changes the game, right? Could literally change an incomplete pass to a touchdown pass, or a bad call against the DB who made a brilliant play on the ball gets flagged for a phantom call, and that DB's busting his hump trying to cover a great wide receiver. So I realized instead of making a ranting video about the CFL messing with their tradition, messing with their culture, messing with their sport, first of all, as an American, who the hell am I to say? Second, it's not my decision to make. I will enjoy the CFL for what it is. I wish they wouldn't change the rules, but I'll enjoy it for what it is. And American football, despite my own slowly ebbing away from pro football over the last 10, 15 years. I find myself this year back in watching, enjoying it. And I realize I'm always going to be a football fan, whether that comes through high school, college, American pro, American semi-pro. Football is a sport that it's just the drama and the play, the X's and O's, the strategies will always entertain me. But with that said, I would like to say it saddens me. I went in a way through anger, and then I went a little bit I went through anger, and then I went through uh, uh, fear that, oh my God, this is just going to lead to more and more changes in the CFL, and then I'm now kind of at sadness. It's sad, but it is what it is, and it will live on. It'll live on now in a new form, and there'll have to be an asterisk in all the stat books now saying, oh, by the way, that's when the field went shorter. That's when the goalpost moved back, right? That's when the rouge didn't count anymore, right? At least on the final kick of the game or whatever they're doing. I don't know how they're going to manage that, right? So anyway, so for my 2 cents, who am I to remark on what the CFL does? I can just say I wish they wouldn't. I wish American football wouldn't change all the time. I wish, in that sense, I'm very conservative. I like things to stay. Things I like, I don't like them to change. Things I hate, I want them to change now, right? So we're all that way, right? The thing that I really want to be fixed is my phone company can't get my landline fixed. I want that fixed now. My landline's working. What phone line? The phone company's calling saying they're going to move my phone line from above to underground. Man, do you have to mess around with it? It's been working. So that's just the nature of things. When you're happy with something, you don't want to see it change. When you're comfortable with something, you don't want to see it change. And when you despise something or you dislike something, you want it to change. So apparently there's enough fans in the CFL that want to see these changes. Or is this marketing to get more people supposedly to watch because there's something wrong with the CFL entertainment? I don't think so. I think CFL is remarkably entertaining. And I don't see how any of these rules are going to make more people watch the CFL. I don't think there's that guy on the fence going, I'd watch the CFL. What for that stupid rouge? An American might say that because they don't know what the rouge is. They don't understand. But I don't think the CFL is going, man, if they remove the rouge, I'd start watching more CFL. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. But it is a remarkably entertaining game. And I don't see how any of these rule changes are going to make it more entertaining. I will concede that moving the goalposts off the goal line could make it less dangerous for potential players in the middle of the field. But aside from that, I don't see any value in doing it because you have to now shorten the field to make it more doable, and you're going to get rid of the missed field goal rouge. And there was one other big change. Oh, I can't remember now what the other big change is, but point is, that's my take. That is my take on the CFL's changes from an American perspective on a guy who discovered the CFL at 16. So for 38, 39 years, I've been aware of it. And for the last 10 years, I've really enjoyed the CFL highlights, watching them on YouTube, trying to get all the information I can from their website. But outside of that, it's out of my hands. So, all right. Bye bye.